Welcome to Wrestling with the Realm. My name is Will. I am one half of the best podcasting tag team in the game.
Oh,
And on the other side of the Zoom screen is my better half. He is the Macho Man Randy Savage. To
ooh,
my
yeah.
Hulk Hogan, his name is Brian. And we're
Hey guys,
here.
what's up?
We're here with our first episode, the first episode of Wrestling with the Realm.
Glad you guys are here. Everybody who made it over from the Realm Paranormal podcast, thank you guys for coming over. I got a feeling a lot of you guys are really going to dig this, what me and Will are doing with this wrestling stuff. It's going to be good. We're fans. I got a feeling a lot of you guys are fans. So if you found your way over here from the Realm Paranormal podcast, thank you guys. We're going to jump into this thing.
Yeah, we are very excited to get this going. We're very excited to have all of you here with us. Let's get started. I think the first thing we have is let's talk a little bit about what happened this Friday on SmackDown.
Yep.
I don't have a whole lot to say about it. Um, Obviously there's one thing, but there's three other things I want to briefly touch on. LA Knight defeats Santos Escobar in the US
Yep.
Championship match. Shinsuke Nakamura comes out after the match. That seems like the direction they're going with for that. I'm pretty excited for that. Honestly, having Shinsuke Nakamura back, and he's picking up right where he left off. He's not like falling into the background like he did for most of his career after he was brought up after NXT. So to have him feuding for championships like he was against Seth and having feuds against Cody, having him against LA Knight, that it seems like an interesting feud.
See, everybody, I think this is what the fun thing is going to be for us because I'm a little old school. Will is new school. I jumped back into this thing. So growing up as a kid, for me, I was all about the wrestling. I kind of lost track after the Rock Stone Cold era. Will is new school. Will's picking up right at the era where I left off. So when he sees Shinsuke Nakamura come back, he's excited for that. I have little to no feeling or just not sure how I feel because the part where I came in at, I haven't seen much from him. But if you're telling me that this could be good, I'm going to trust you, Will. If you're telling me that this could be good, I'm going to trust you.
My view of Shinsuke Nakamura is very much so skewed. I remember him back in NXT when he was burning the house down with people like Sami Zayn and Finn Balor and for the NXT championship. So my view is a little skew of him, but I'm excited for that. The next thing, moving from one United States championship feud to the United States championship tournament on the
Yep.
women's side. I'm gonna say it, Brian. Chelsea Green needs to win this belt. When she got B-Fab in the Unprettier, the crowd
Yes.
erupted,
Yep.
excited to see Chelsea Green pick up a W. I was excited to see Chelsea Green pick up a W. She is as over as it gets right now. We need Chelsea Green to win this belt.
In the words of Bruce Pritchard, she's over like Rover right now.
Over like Rover.
He was in a ladder match and did a big spot, and she's over now. I couldn't believe it when I'm watching and she wins and she got a huge pop. I was like, holy crap, Chelsea Green is over right now. Like
Yeah.
it kind of felt like that was building up, but I was kind of shocked because you got Bianca Belair in the match too. And I'm like, oh my God, Chelsea Green is over. It is the perfect kind of I don't want to say it's cheesy or corny with her, but it's the perfect mix of she has something going on right now that people are digging and it's just fun. And I think that's what
Yeah.
people are picking up on is that it's just fun. Are you going to talk about the other thing that happened in that match?
Jade Cargill.
Yes.
Jade Cargill was jumped backstage bloodied and beat up, and they said I saw a report on my phone out indefinitely.
Mm-hmm. I just
So it
saw
looks
that.
like they wrote her off TV.
Will, what could be the positive? Okay, what do you think the first thing that went through my mind was when I saw that?
Oh gosh. Considering we're not the biggest Jade Cargill fans, is probably the fact that they did not want her in the War Games match, or
Bingo.
they did not think she was capable of performing in that match with such stellar competition and in such a big moment in a big
That's
match.
my guess. Like that was my initial thought when I saw that. I literally turned to my wife and go, "Nope, I think they don't want Jade Cargill going forward. Something wasn't working, and they had to zig and zag on this because maybe she's not picking it up." And I saw something else. I saw people saying maybe she's pregnant or something. I have no idea if that's true.
Yeah,
No idea. But the first thing that popped in my head was is oh, they had to get her out of this. They had to get her out of this tournament, and they had to get her out of the War Games match for whatever reason. Maybe they have something else cooking, but we are not.
yeah,
So when we say we're not the biggest Jade Cargill fans, I feel like I need to preface that we are all in agreement. Jade Cargill, she looks like she jumps off the page at you, but then the bell rings and you have to have mic skills and she's still working on those things and it sucks every time when she's going and you're hoping that she gets over the hump and it just feels like she's not there yet. And it really, you know what really doesn't help? It doesn't help that when you turn on NXT and the women's division is just tearing it up.
absolutely.
That's the part where I feel like it shines a light on other performers that aren't up to that level. And it's kind of a shame, but I hope whatever they're doing, they get it figured out, and maybe they got something else planned. I mean, they might totally throw us through a loop and have Bianca be behind this whole thing, and we're building up for something for them for Mania.
That's exactly
You
what I
know,
was going to
that's
say.
yeah. If
Bianca
we're
could
if we're looking at
absolutely.
it that way, it could totally be something like that.
Yeah, this could just be building to the Mania match between Bianca and Jade. Now, I saw it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense for her to be in a match and then it cut back and she got jumped, but
Yeah,
she could have absolutely done it. And this is just built for the Mania match.
I mean, it just reminded me of Rikishi back in the day. I did it for the Rock. Everybody with like horrible storyline went nowhere. But with this, I kind of feel like it's not a bad idea if you want to put this on Bianca Belair and you move their story going forward to Mania. It actually makes a lot of sense from a booking perspective because you're killing two birds with one stone. You're getting some
Yeah,
heat with this story and you're taking her out of the ring, which is kind of a weakness, and you're kicking that can down the road. You're still getting to tell a story, but you're also not having to have her be in the ring. I don't want to call her a liability because I think that that's way too harsh. But
no, it is.
somebody
Yeah,
who you feel like if you want to push it down the line and you have a couple of things cooking leading up to Mania, maybe you have her focus on those things and you get her sharp. And that's probably the best case scenario. I hope that's what they're doing because I feel like it could be a killer match. And I want Jade to succeed because I feel like she could be a monster face or a monster heel. And I've
yep.
told you a million times, my first thought was when they brought her in was they needed a monster to go against Rhea Ripley, and it just hasn't materialized yet. So if they're going to take their time with it and they get it right, I'm fine with it.
Absolutely. So let's move on to, I mean, the main thing that happened on SmackDown. The Wise Man is back. He has found the fifth member of the OG bloodline, and it was CM Punk. CM Punk returns to in-ring action next week,
Awesome.
Saturday. I'm excited for it. I mean, this is kind of where you were like, you left the wrestling space and I picked up right there. When I picked up
Yep.
CM Punk was a Paul Heyman guy. And the stuff they did, like when I was first watching wrestling, was Undertaker CM Punk. Like
Okay.
at WrestleMania 29, and it was a phenomenal feud. I mean, Paul Heyman and CM Punk were just killing it on the mic back in the day. Gets me excited for that. But is there any thoughts that you have on this return?
I thought it was good. I mean, there's only so many places that you could go. You
Yep.
can't do the Seth Rollins thing if he's still laid up, which kind of sucks. So you can't do that, especially because they put Bronson Reed over there on the New Bloodline. I hate the New Bloodline. Solo Sokoa. I will agree with you. I feel like he's starting to. I don't know if it's by design or not, but he's really starting to grate on me, and I'm really
Hmm.
starting to dislike him just because he is such a pain in the butt that it's just like he's very annoying to me when I see him. It's just like, oh, it really irritates you. And I feel like they're doing a really good job of that because initially I'm like, I can't buy him as leading a bloodline. I don't. It just doesn't work. I feel like they found a way somehow to kind of give this some traction, and I'm actually kind of excited for that one. Now I love CM Punk being in it. That really made me. I love that Heyman came back out because he had to at a certain point. We had to start getting this ball rolling of where we're headed,
Yeah,
and I love that it's CM Punk. It makes sense because he was a Heyman guy. You got some heat with some other guys who he's going to be in that match with, but I think this is what Survivor Series in general and War Games has always kind of been good at is you all these different take all these different superstars, you throw them together, and there's all these little stories that are interwoven within the
absolutely.
match, and you can expand on the stories that you're telling through those matches. And I feel like
Hmm.
CM Punk gives a little bit of something extra to that match. And for all the people who uh, do check us out over on the Realm Paranormal podcast, it's funny that my first introduction to CM Punk was when CM Punk was a guest host on the live investigation of like Waverly Hills on Ghost Hunters way back in the day. And I think that was like an ECW thing. That wasn't
Yeah,
even, I don't even know if that was when uh, he was in WWE
that's hilarious.
at that point or if it was. So like, it's kind of funny for me that my knowing of him was long haired CM Punk. It was kind of funny doing a
Oh
paranormal
man,
investigation. So that's kind of funny, but I like CM Punk. I love that he's at the Blackhawks games. We've seen him there a few times, so it's always kind of cool
that's awesome.
that he's a Chicago guy. And it, you know, what's funny about that? He did the season
Yeah.
opener video, and he's like wearing his Blackhawks jersey, and he's around Chicago doing stuff. And they're showing that on screen, and as the crowd, we're all booing because he's a heel on the video. Later in the game, he's sitting down there and we put the camera on him, we all cheer. And my wife goes,
Yeah.
"Hey, you were just booing him before." I go, "Well, yeah, that's because we were booing the character. Now we're cheering the man." So this is like, it's so funny as wrestling fans what we do that we see the character pop up on screen, we immediately boo him. But then when he's actually there at the game showing support for the Hawks and stuff, we're like, "Yeah, CM Punk,
That's
you're
my
awesome. Thanks for
guy.
being here,
Yep.
buddy." Yeah, it's so funny. But yeah,
Oh,
that's all I got for SmackDown.
yep. I got two things, and one of us is actually going to take us into our blue sky booking for today. Um, One is I just want to give a quick shout out to Bronson Reed. He has been doing his thing,
Yeah.
and I'm excited to see him. I hope it's not a flash in the pan in the main event scene. Um, Dude is a big guy and he can go in the ring, and his mic skills are kind of underrated. To me, he could be better off as the tribal chief more than Solo. I'm just throw
Ooh.
I'm just
Ooh, I
throwing
like.
it out there.
Okay.
Um,
Oh boy,
Second thing
that's not bad.
is Paul Heyman came out wearing a red silk undershirt,
Yes.
very reminiscent of one Solo Sokoa. I'm just gonna leave that hanging as we get into our blue sky booking for today.
Well, let me tell you something, sir. I happen to like the color red, not just Solo Sokoa. Like it, I noticed that too, and I was like, they're playing with us.
They
They're,
have to be.
they're playing. Oh, that would be the ultimate. Okay, so let's go on the blue sky booking. So what we're gonna do today, from time to time on here, we're gonna do something called blue sky booking because this is gonna dovetail right into that. That's so I like where you went with that.
Yep.
So blue sky booking is something that we're gonna do. It's basically where we are in storylines we're going to kind of say, if we were telling the story, if we were on WWE Creative and we're trying to tell this story building up to WrestleMania, how would we do it? So it's not necessarily we're trying to predict what's going to happen. We're just saying if we were telling a story, this is a story that we would like to see. So today we're going to go into how do we do night one main event and night two main event of WrestleMania 41.
Yep, and I'll take us off from there because
Mm-hmm.
the main event seed right now is loaded in WWE, and there is only two matches you can have in the main events. And I got a list of just potential main eventers who like just people who like if they headline WrestleMania, you wouldn't blink an eye. The Rock, Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, CM Punk, Seth Rollins, the returning John Cena, Randy Orton, Gunther. He's holding the World
Yep.
Heavyweight Championship. He could easily do it. I mean, Drew McIntyre could easily do it as well. He's been unsung MVP of 2024. And I have one more on there in the back of my notes, and that's Braun Breaker. I just
Yeah.
think the work he's been doing, he would have to get off the Intercontinental Championship, but he's been amazing so far, and his title run has been great.
Yep.
But with all that, with all those amazing people and all that amazing talent, it's hard to break down like who do you want headlining your WrestleMania night one and night two main events. And that will take us into our War Games match because I feel like this is the beginning. Like
Yep.
when you talk about
Yeah.
headlining WrestleMania, this is in the main events, this is where it starts.
Yeah, I feel
So
like
I
this is
got
kind of the stage setter for where everything is taken off. Yeah, you're
yeah.
right about that.
So when we first were doing our notes on this, we didn't know who the teams were, but now we do. Roman Reigns, CM Punk, the Usos, and Sammy Uso, the OG Bloodline versus Team Solo, the new Bloodline, Jacob Fatu, the Tongans, Big Bronson Reed, and Solo himself. Um, I think we can mostly agree on what we think is going to happen here, but I think we think The Rock is going to have to come back as this match starts to break down.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty
I think
much. So if we're gonna start off that story at War Games, The Rock comes out, makes an appearance at Bad Blood. Nothing since then. That was a tremor. I think some of the big earthquake rumblings start to happen at War Games now. I feel like The Rock is going to have a presence there for sure.
um and I had a quick take that takes us back to SmackDown. I think The Rock comes out and I think he has the wise man by his side. I think Paul Heyman
Mm.
has been in cahoots with The Rock and Solo, and he is going to call the shot. He's going to be the new wise man for the final boss. And I think Rock comes in, interferes, and I think Solo pins Roman Reigns.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like Solo has to get that win on Roman. I think The Rock definitely has to be involved somehow. I mean, honestly, even if we don't put The Rock at the show, if you have Heyman there and somehow we find out that The Rock's been pulling the strings all along for
Mm,
this thing, working with Heyman, I mean, that would be, I mean, that's pretty devastating. If you're Roman Reigns and you're the OG bloodline and you have this feud going, if you're Roman Reigns and your whole thing is don't come in to my WWE, think that you're the head of the table, think that you're the tribal chief. My job is to come here and settle your hash, Solo Sokoa. When you find out that everybody who's been you have the wise man, you have your closest ally is going to be the one who's been manufacturing this whole thing with The Rock, that's a pretty devastating story. That's Empire Strikes Back for Roman Reigns. But that's also how you kick off going down the line to WrestleMania to get that story. We have to find a way to make Solo Sokoa and this new bloodline the henchmen for the real
mm.
big bad who is The Rock. And I think that's how you do that with Paul Heyman. I mean, you never any James Bond movie, it's November, it's James Bond time. Anybody who knows James Bond, you have the main bad and you have the henchman. It's just like Dark Knight Rises. Bane's just a henchman. I know people are torn on that movie. Bane's just a henchman at the end of the day. And I feel like Solo is just the henchman that Roman has to go through to get to the final boss, which is going to be The Rock. And I think
Absolutely.
that is a great way to really throw some gasoline on that fire that's going. Have Heyman turn, have The Rock be behind the whole thing.
Yeah, so when we were originally doing this, we had on the OG Bloodline side, we thought because of bad blood and the team between Cody and Roman that Cody was going to be on this team. And when you're breaking down the main event of night one or night two, Cody Rhodes needs to be seen. He needs to be somewhere. He's not losing that belt, we don't believe,
Yeah,
before
no way.
Mania. So I think that's where you're going to take us to with Saturday night's main event.
Yeah, I think so for me, for Saturday night's main event, growing up in the 80s and 90s, Saturday night's main event was awesome. It was like when you turned your TV on Saturday night and you saw that WWF was on, it was like that was a treat. You got very excited when you had a Saturday night's main event. They were kind of special because you got to see all of the big name superstars in action. They usually made it fun somehow. There was usually a theme, but it was a like those shows were just a lot of fun. And I'm glad to see that Jesse the Body is coming back. I'm excited for that. I hope they go totally retro with the first broadcast because that would give me all the feels. I would love it. Um, but with Cody, we definitely we went ahead and we took him in Kevin Owens, and we're really kind of ratcheting that up. They're kind of putting Cody on this side quest. We took him away from the bloodline. I mean, Roman basically said that on SmackDown. He's like, nope, we're Cody's old news now. We're past that. We're not bringing him back into this. So Cody's off on his own quest against KO. I feel like if I was doing it, I would have them at Saturday night's main event. You got to get Randy Orton involved somehow. I love the idea of having him come in. He has a save. Maybe he gets involved with Cody, and we're not sure whose side he's on. Um, but maybe even a ref. You could have him come in as a special referee because he's been kind of a mediator between these two for so long. But I think you get Randy Orton involved in the KO Cody Rhodes feud, and we have that cooking. I feel like they put a little gas on that. They kind of tried to make it a little personal on SmackDown. Cody had a little bit of fire in him. I kind of like seeing that. I kind of like seeing him a little bit worked up. He wasn't playing the nice guy when he came out on SmackDown.
Yep.
He was giving it to Kevin Owens, and I thought that was really good for those two. It's really going to help that feud. So I think Saturday night's main event, you're going to have Cody, you have Kevin Owens, but I feel like Orton has to be in that somehow. But I don't even think that that's the most important thing because that's not where Cody's going for WrestleMania. Um, I'm not worried about I'm not worried about how that feud is going to go. I don't think they're taking the belt off of Cody. Um,
No.
he has to have he has to have some feuds going with people that have some meaning for him and for the fans to get to WrestleMania. Um, maybe at Saturday night's main event is also where we get The Rock. If he's not out at War Games, maybe that's where we finally get him to make an appearance. If it was me, I'd make sure I have The Rock on that show because people are going to tune in for it. If you can guarantee that he's going to be there, or maybe the idea that he will be, you're going to get a lot of eyeballs on that broadcast. Um, and maybe that goes back to War Games. If we have something happen, if Heyman does something dastardly, and maybe that's where The Rock comes out on Saturday night's main event, gives the big reveal that he's got the wise man, he's been running the whole thing. I feel like you can do a lot on that show. And it's kind of
Hmm.
funny that my initial thought for Saturday night's main event when they had first announced it, the stuff that they used to do a lot of like tournament stuff, putting top guys together in a tag match, stuff that progressed the story but didn't have big implications on it. And one of my first thoughts was do like a number one contenders tournament and have the finals at Saturday night's main event. So then we can see who Cody would face at Royal Rumble. They're not doing that, but they are doing the tournament for the Women's United States Championship. So I was
Yeah.
kind of right with a little bit of that they were going to throw some tournament stuff in there, which is kind of fun to see.
No, that
But
was a good call.
I think really when we get to Royal Rumble is where we are going to start picking up to where our story for WrestleMania is going to go.
Yeah.
So take it away, Will. Take us to the Rumble.
Um, so I go back to the night after WrestleMania 40, and with maybe one of the most confusing promos of all
Mm-hmm.
time when The Rock is like, Cody, let me hold your belt. And Cody's like, no, let me hold your belt. And they hold each other's belts, and it's really weird. And The Rock puts something in Cody's hand.
Or
And
nothing at
that,
all.
yeah, it could just be nothing. It could be nothing. And but to me, you have to somehow revisit that before WrestleMania, before The Rock is done. I think it's a huge match. I don't know if you can have it at the Royal Rumble, but I do have Cody Rhodes versus The Rock at the Royal Rumble, and I have Cody beating him with a returning Roman Reigns helping Cody Rhodes
Ooh.
and spearing The Rock, and that's how you get to your WrestleMania main event, and that's how you set up The Rock versus Roman Reigns. But you have a different look at it, which I mean, is probably more likely to happen.
So I'm thinking at Royal Rumble, if it was if so the way that I look at it is I think we have to get Roman Rock at WrestleMania and we have to get Cody versus so when we look at what The Rock did with handing something to Cody and all of that kind of nonsense, I feel like they were spinning their wheels when they did that. They didn't know what the hell they were going to do. It's
Yeah.
like Back to the Future. The end of Back to the Future, we have Marty and Jennifer get into the DeLorean with Doc, and it's about their future, and that's where they're going. We get to part two of Back to the Future. It's not great. We have to pick up on that story because they did it at the end of the first movie. They never intended that at the end of the first movie. They were just throwing something on there. They figured we'll deal with it later. We'll kick that can down the road. They made a poor
Hmm.
choice by following up on that. But I think WWE was hedging their bet on The Rock and Cody. But I don't think there's any way we're getting Rock and Cody at WrestleMania. I just don't see that happening. I think if
Yeah.
anything, we could have whatever The Rock was giving Cody. I'm in love with the idea that he told Cody, I gave you this main event, you're giving me one back. Because The Rock was supposed to be Rock and Roman at
Yep.
WrestleMania 40. We all lost our ever loving minds, and it became Cody and Roman. It was magical. It was fun. But I feel like maybe The Rock said, all right, kid, you got that one. But there's going to be a day when I'm going to want that main event and you're going to give it to me. And I feel like that's where we're going to cash in.
No, agreed.
So I think having said that, with The Rock wanting that main event, that's what's really going to set us up for night one and night two. But we're going to leave you guys with that. This is going to be part
Yep.
one of our Blue Sky booking. We're going to come back with a part two, and we're going to get in to our main events for WrestleMania 41.
Yep. Realm family, we appreciate you guys listening. It was a great episode. Thank you guys. Have a great day. Peace.
Everybody, if you didn't find your way over here from the Realm Paranormal Podcast, go check us out. Go over to our YouTube channel, the Realm Paranormal Podcast. If you like listening to us, I think you'll like what we have to say about paranormal stuff. Will won't be there. He's there in
Nope.
spirit. He is my sweet, sweet spirit guy. Hey, we do movie reviews too. If you like movie reviews, check us out on that too because it's a whole lot of fun. Love you guys. Thanks for listening. We'll catch up with you guys on part two of our Blue Sky bookings. Catch you later, guys.